Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. Well, folks, I have the XRP chart open today, and I'd like to discuss what XRP is doing. I'd like to compare what is currently taking place on the XRP chart back to the fractal that XRP has been following. So I'm on a zoomed out picture here, and I'd like to start off with a bird's eye view. So here is the macro structure, and for those of you who are not familiar with this, XRP has a repetitive macro structure. As you can see, here's a bull run. After the bull run comes the decline. After the decline comes this range-bound time that exists after the decline and before the next bull run. If we go further back in time, it's the same deal all the way going to the very beginning. Let me zoom in real quick. So here's a bull run, here's a decline, here are the three fractals in that sideways range-bound time, and here is the same thing, just repeated once again, the bull run, the decline, that range-bound time. Let's talk about these letters that I have here. Let me zoom out real quick and go back to where I was. So this sideways range-bound time, I divide into three fractals. The first fractal has two basic parts to it. Part A, where the price moves up and then back down, and then part B, where it goes flat. Now, sometimes B angles down a bit. We see that over here. Fractal 1 had the move up and back down, and then it went flat. Fractal 2 has three waves to it, wave A, wave B, and wave C. We have completed that over here with wave A, wave B, and wave C was massively distorted by the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit ruling. We are now entering into Fractal 3. Fractal 3 has two basic parts to it. It moves up to a point. That point, or that peak, is part A. It then crashes down, and that crashing structure at the bottom is part B. It then moves up, does this correction right here, and then it's off to the bull run. These simple, basic structures repeat over and over again every single time we are in a sideways range-bound time. So it is my belief that we are potentially copying this structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this structure over here, and we could examine it on a small time frame. Now, you should be aware that it could be doing another iteration of this. For instance, this fractal 3 right here, or this one. It could potentially do any one of those. When a fractal repeats, this is important, the pattern repeats. However, the timing, height, and depth does not repeat. Those will always be original. So what that means is you will have an original iteration of this fractal every single time it plays out. So if we look over here in Fractal 2, for instance, we have the three waves, and over here we have the three waves, but this third one is so much higher, but it is still the same three waves that existed. However, the timing, the height, and the depth are unique. This timing, height, and depth did not copy over here. So when the timing, height, and depth does not repeat, that means fractals can play out on a small time frame or a large time frame. Parts of a fractal, for instance, like this, can be different. So the height here could be different. It doesn't repeat the same ratio of height and depth that it did over here. All that is always going to be unique. Another thing that you should be aware of, so if you look here, for instance, this fractal right here is kind of on a flat plane, whereas over here, it's not on that flat plane, it slopes downward. And then over here, it goes back to a more flat trajectory. Now over here, we see that trajectory being flat. On the second one, it's not. It's angled more up, so it slopes up. This one, we'll have to see how that plays out. So that is another dynamic effect when a structure repeats, that the orientation of that fractal can be different from the one that it may be following. So having said all that, let's jump into this structure. I'm going to copy and paste this structure over here. Okay, so here are two fractals. It's actually the same fractal. This one is the original one from the one I told you I was going to copy. The only thing that has been altered with it is I compressed it to meet the timing of today's chart. Now this blue one I have adjusted to meet the current height and depth and timing that is taking place. So for instance, this moved here, it was steeper here. Now it looks different, but I'm going to show you that this is not really different. So let's zoom in here. In fact, let's go in on a smaller time frame on a 15-minute candle. So you see that in the beginning, they were, for the most part, following lockstep. Now it starts to differ once here. Let's zoom in here a little more. So I'm going to clone this one, change the color of it so we can see the difference. And if you take this structure right here, I believe it's right here. So this is that, but it has taken place in a much shorter amount of time, as you see over here. So you see how time is playing out differently. Over here, for instance, let's do this one. Clone it. Change the color. And if you take this, so this starts, I believe, here. And you see that this one is right here. Now this played out on a smaller time frame, but also the angle was different. Remember how I told you the orientation, some were angled up, some were angled down. Well, this part of the structure was angled further down. However, it's the same basic idea. So you see that it comes to a peak, it drops. Here it even does this small bounce. This was much more exaggerated. It drops again, does another bounce. The same idea is repeated, not going sideways, but more on a sloping orientation or sloping direction. This one right here, let's clone this one. And we'll change the color. So look how short of a time frame this played out in versus this one. So as you can see, it is following, it's doing its own thing, though. It's doing it in a unique way. The timing, the height, and the depth, and even the way it's angled or oriented is all unique. So this is a 2-hour candle. This was the part that I was showing you. So this is what we have left of this wave right here. Now, look how many alterations have taken place here. I would expect the same idea to be playing out here. However, we are getting close to the next move up, which would be the next wave. Let's zoom out a little more. Once we complete this, then we'll go into this. This is where it comes to a peak and then it crashes. So this would be part A, and then this would be part B. So if it continues to play out at this speed, this is on a day candle, that would be somewhere, this says January 2024. So I would say beginning, end of year, potentially beginning of new year. That is a rough time estimation, assuming that it continues to play out at this pace. Now, as you can see, some parts speed up, other parts slow down. So timing is a dynamic function here. It's not static. So expect more of that. But as you can see, even though it looks different, once you compare those structures, those fractals, the parts of the smaller parts of the fractal, you see that it is actually the same structure, just playing out at a slightly different angle, maybe in a shorter time frame, which is a good thing. Anyways, that is my latest update on the XRP chart. If you found this video interesting, it'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed yet, I recommend hitting that subscribe button. The type of technical analysis I just did, this is unique. You're not going to find it anywhere else. This is a system I discovered. I use fractals from the past to predict future movements. Now, it's not a bulletproof system. I can't predict the timing really well. I can't predict height, depth, all that stuff. That remains a mystery. Its strength is that it can project into the future like we see here. And this is something that your standard TA struggles, in fact, can't really do. So if you found this interesting, I recommend hitting that subscribe button. It'll also make it easier to find me again since I'm a new channel. You may have a hard time finding me. This is not financial advice. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.